The man tried a plum growing on wild grass for the first time. After returning home, his legs turned into wood. Eventually, plum blossoms grew from them. At first, after eating that plum, Gontai often dreamt of a towering tree and various plants and animals. Although it was a dream, it was very vivid. He always felt he had seen it somewhere. Later, Gontai started asking around nearby villages, but everyone said they had never seen such a big tree. Until one day, he met Mushy Master Ginkgo. The two had never met before, yet Gontai said he had seen him. He said Ginkgo was only 10 at that time. About 3 people went into the mountains, including an old man, whom he had watched grow up. This left Ginkgo bewildered. He said, "How old are you? How could you have watched the old man grow up?" Gontai didn't understand either. Why he had said that was not told by anyone, but he just knew. It was like suddenly remembering something. Ginkgo thought he was a liar, and stood up to leave. After that, Gontai dreamt of villagers cutting trees and building the village, which felt very familiar. The next day, he went up the mountain, and realized the village in his dream was where he lived, so the tree should be nearby. Once he found the tree, the mystery could be solved. When he found the tree, he was utterly shocked. The tree had been cut down, but its roots were larger than in his dream. Gontai sat on the tree, pondering for a long time, still unsure why he dreamt of things he had never seen. As he stood to leave, his legs fused tightly with the tree. No matter how he pulled, he couldn't free himself. He panicked and shouted for help. Then Ginkgo emerged from the mountains. "I'm taking care of this," and Ginkgo called the villagers, using axes to free Gontai. After returning home, Gontai's legs had turned into wood. Seeing him, Ginkgo suddenly remembered something. Judging by Gontai's condition, he must have eaten a red fruit that looked like a plum. It was a kind of insect called Jew wood. Originally, it lived inside trees, feeding on the tree's nutrients. But when the host is in danger, it blooms red flowers, then transforms into fruit and falls from the tree. The fruit contains the tree's memories. If birds or animals eat it, it will nest inside them, waiting for the host to approach the tree. If the host remains near the tree for long, it merges the host with the tree, making them immobile, eventually fully assimilated. Although Ginkgo knew the cause, he still had no cure. After hearing this, Gontai thought that as long as the host was in danger, it would leave, right? So he decided to feign death. Ginkgo said although it would bloom, it would not fall as fruit. Jew wood cannot discern if the host is truly in danger. Perhaps it uses the tree's vast memory to determine this. This plunged Gontai into despair. He loved traveling freely by nature, but now his legs were wooden. He could not accept it. He begged Ginkgo for a solution. Ginkgo could only write to the Mushy Master Guild for assistance, hoping for a cure. Ginkgo had actually seen the tree as a child. When he often traveled with his master would tell a story about the tree. He said, this big tree had been parasitized by Jew wood for 1,000 years. It had only bloomed twice. The first bloom was 550 years ago. During a massive earthquake, the ground cracked, and the tree almost fell, but survived. The second was 170 years ago, when it was struck by lightning and severely damaged. The nearby villagers desperately healed it, and it survived. Those villagers were from Gontai's village, who had migrated 300 years ago. They wanted to clear the mountain, and tried to cut down the tree, but it could not be felled, so they revered it. Eventually, they treated it as a sacred tree, because light veins ran under the land. Some trees here developed special powers, making humans powerless against them. Over time, the tree was gradually forgotten. Now, few villagers came to worship it. Remembering this, Ginkgo took a lantern up the mountain to investigate. He saw Gontai's mother praying before the tree. Ginkgo asked why they once worshipped it, but had cut it down. It happened 15 years ago. At that time, most villagers survived by planting trees and selling timber. Then suddenly, a disaster struck. The mountain caught fire, burning everything clean except the sacred tree. Without the mountains, villagers could not survive, and had to beg in town. Someone suggested selling the tree, as the town timber merchant was willing to pay a high price. Villagers discussed it. The elders tried to stop it, saying it was sacred, but the younger generation insisted on cutting it down. Otherwise, their families would starve. When they went up the mountain, the tree was full of red flowers. Some thought it was angry, but others ignored it and swung their axes. With repeated strikes, the millennial-old sacred tree finally fell. Then something miraculous happened. A golden liquid flowed from the tree's roots, spreading in all directions. No one knew why. After that, the burned mountain. Some thought the tree must be angry, but others didn't care at all. They lifted their axes and chopped it down. With repeated swings, the millennium-old sacred tree finally fell. Then an incredible scene appeared. After the roots separated, a golden liquid suddenly flowed out. The liquid spread from the tree in all directions continuously. No one knew why. But since then, the mountains burned by the disaster regrew with astonishing speed, and the money from selling the sacred tree allowed the villagers to live well for a while. It was all thanks to this tree that his mother could safely raise Gontai. But his mother believed the tree was angry then. Now that Gontai is like this, perhaps it's retribution. Ingu said plants do not get angry, but they are not without feelings, nor do they do nothing. There are trees, once attacked by many poisonous insects. They secrete toxins from their leaves to protect themselves. Plants cannot move, but in contrast, they can sensitively detect changes around them, and sometimes respond by changing themselves. This tree had the power to resist human axes, but the reason it was cut down then might be because the tree made itself able to be felled to save the mountains devastated by the disaster. After returning, Ingu prepared medicine for Gontai. Gontai thought he could be cured, but the medicine only suppressed the insect's growth. The Mushy Master's Guild did not provide a real solution. After this, the scenes Gontai dreamed of became more frequent. He became weak and lethargic, and did not want to interact with his daughter, feeling dissatisfied, blaming the tree. Why did he have to suffer this? At this time, Gontai was surprised to find a small flower had grown on his toe. Later, when Ingu came to check, red flowers had grown all over his feet, although Gontai's body was fine. This was a sign that trouble was coming. A crisis was about to strike Gontai. Life-threatening events were coming. That very night, Gontai suddenly felt restless inside. He could clearly sense the plants in the mountains were sending a warning. He had experienced this feeling before. Suddenly he seemed to remember something. He hurriedly woke up the sleeping villagers, directed them to leave the village quickly. The farther the better. The sense of crisis was approaching. After all the villagers had moved, the entire village suddenly shook violently. Both plants and houses collapsed instantly. After everything calmed down, the flowers on Gontai's feet fell off. After that night, Gontai's status became more revered in the villagers' hearts. Everyone was busy rebuilding the village. They decided to rebuild Gontai's house first, because the felling of the sacred tree was still an old wound in everyone's heart, and the sacred tree saved them twice. They could not repay that kindness. Now that the sacred tree is gone, doing this is a way to repay the tree.